Planning affects our lives in any possible way. In the moment we wake up in the morning and look into our houses, to the way we step out from those houses and understand how the infrastructure and green spaces are organized, to the way our cities are structured and what amenities they provide us, to the wider region, to the wider country, to the wider globe. So planning is definitely the profession of the 21st century, and there will be many spatial issues that will need to be addressed in order to make our future environment livable. Kia ora, my name is Dr. Bruno Marquez, and I am the Associate Dean for Academic Development at the Faculty of Architecture and Design Innovation. I think a common misconception about planning is that a typical planner will be in a little office and will be just writing policy and really thinking about the economic implications of a certain decision that will happen at governmental level or local level. Well, planning has changed a lot and has nothing to do with that nowadays. So planners are very active in really spatially organizing our cities, our regions, and really thinking about the sustainable future of those environments. So they work alongside many other professionals, not only architects and landscape architects, but also engineers, traffic planners, ecologists, really to make sure that all the pieces of the puzzle come together in creating environments that will be livable for the future generations. So the Master of Urban Regional Planning is a program that looks into the spatial development and organization of our regions, our cities, our towns, but it does that from a very spatial focus. So it's not planning as traditionally looking into development and policy making, but it's planning looking into spatial organization of our regions, our cities, and really dealing with current issues around climate change, sea level rise, housing crisis, densification. So all the issues that we will prepare better our living and built environments for the future. Some of the exciting things we'll be doing in our design studios will be looking a lot into our cities and project and plan how they're going to be looking like in the future. So for instance, issues around infrastructure development and including motorways, railways, sustainable transportation, but also issues around minorities and ethnic diversity. How can we bring those to the way we conceive our cities? But also issues around sea level rise and how we're going to combat and mitigate some of the impacts of that as we develop and expand our cities. Other issues, for instance, also going to be looking into regional development and how can we make those regions more sustainable, viable, economically speaking and culturally speaking. So there's a wide range of topics that will be introduced as you go through, and those topics tend really to be important issues that globally we are debating. So many of our professional organizations, both in New Zealand and overseas, tend to look a lot around issues of nature-based solutions, issues of biodiversity, issues of climate change, but also community participation, traditional thinking and indigenous knowledge. So we really try to bring the international arena of thinking with the context of New Zealand together to create exciting courses for you to go through. So in the program, you will be exposed to design studios that will focus on urban and regional issues. We're also going to be working very closely with our students in architecture and landscape architecture. So through that, we really want to mimic what happens in practice, where every professional will be working in a very multidisciplinary context. So you will be dealing a lot with not only design and spatial issues, but also with issues around infrastructure, land management, issues related to economics and policy development, and also issues related to professional practice. So what it actually means to be a planner in a context of New Zealand and globally. As a future graduate, you will have an endless amount of opportunities. So if you are more into private practice, you can definitely join a planning company that will really take your skill set to the next level. There's also possibilities to work in multidisciplinary, larger companies that bring engineering, architecture together, where you will be part of far more complex projects. There's also possibilities across governmental agencies, that includes local and regional governments, even iwi organizations, other non-governmental organizations that will have a very strong spatial planning mandate. But also there will be an endless amount of opportunities internationally. If you think that most of our discussions tap into very serious issues, you also have an endless amount of opportunities with United Nations and all the affiliated agencies. Well, it's an important degree because we need to rethink the way we embrace our cities and we plan our cities, but also overall, how do we look into land management? The most common issues we see in the news constantly, they delve a lot around climate change, sea level rise, urbanization, depletion of biodiversity, housing crisis. So those issues will be through planning and through a sustainable way that we will be able to look into having a built environment that is far more sustainable and livable for everyone and every type of people and every walks of life that can come into our urban environments. So in this way, I think planning is a critical discipline and profession for the future because it really will allow to also integrate knowledge from other professions such as architecture and landscape architecture to really conceive the way our cities and regions will be embracing the challenges that we'll have ahead of us. Wellington is a great place to study planning, not only because it's the seat of the parliament, and through that we'll have a strong connection to any policy making development that is currently happening, but also we work very collaboratively with the councils across the region. And we definitely want you to look at Wellington as a living lab. So through the city to understand the mechanics behind how can you change things, improve things, and make them much better in terms of function, in terms of environmental issues, cultural issues, and it's just here at our doorstep. There is so many diversity, not only in terms of the population that lives here, but also in terms of the dynamics of nature that we are exposed to. We have this crazy rugged landscape, we have fault lines and earthquakes that we can deal with, we have the coolest housing developments that are looking at green solutions. So there is so much that we can look into because we have the terrain, we have the climate, we have all the complexities derived from a multicultural society, and that's what's going to make planning as exciting as the context that we are in, our capital city of Wellington. So if you are interested in environmental issues, ecological issues, or societal issues, cultural issues, all of these topics are very important for our planning degree because we not only want you to think about spatially how cities or regions will develop, but also want to think about how people will be using such areas, but also how can we predict the future and how can we plan those spaces in terms of infrastructure or even thinking about local economics. So there's a wide range of topics that will be covered, from ecological to environmental to political to cultural. Those are generally topics that are much relevant in our current society. If you think that planning is something for you and it can be your future, and if you got super excited about these topics, please do get in touch and we look forward to welcome you to Wellington.